In the annals of American history, few events resonate as powerfully as the impeachment and subsequent resignation of President Richard Nixon. This moment marked a significant turning point in the nation's political landscape, forever altering the public's trust in their leaders. The Watergate scandal, a term synonymous with political corruption and abuse of power, cast a long shadow over Nixon's presidency, ultimately leading to his downfall. It began with a break-in at the Democratic National Committee headquarters and spiraled into a full-blown political crisis. This essay delves into the complexities of the scandal, examining its origins, the key players involved, and its lasting impact on American politics and society. Figures like John Dean and G. Gordon Liddy became household names as the scandal unfolded, revealing the extent of the administration's misconduct. The events of Watergate unfolded against a backdrop of social and political upheaval. The 1970s were a time of significant change and unrest in the United States, with various movements challenging the status quo. The Vietnam War had deeply divided the nation, sparking widespread protests and calls for peace. The conflict overseas was mirrored by turmoil at home, as Americans grappled with the war's moral and political implications. The civil rights movement continued to challenge racial injustice, while the Cold War loomed large on the international stage. These concurrent struggles added layers of complexity to the national discourse, influencing public opinion and political decisions. Amidst this turbulent climate, Richard Nixon assumed the presidency in 1969, promising to restore law and order and heal a fractured nation. His campaign capitalized on the desire for stability and a return to traditional values. However, Nixon's presidency would be defined not by unity, but by division and distrust. The Watergate scandal eroded the public's faith in the government, revealing the extent of political corruption at the highest levels. The Watergate scandal, which began as a seemingly minor break-in at the Democratic National Committee headquarters, would unravel a web of illegal activities, ultimately exposing a dark underbelly of Nixon's administration. The investigation revealed a series of covert operations and cover-ups that shocked the nation. The scandal shook the foundations of American democracy, raising profound questions about the limits of presidential power and the importance of accountability. Nixon's resignation was a dramatic conclusion to a saga that had captivated and horrified the American public. The legacy of Watergate continues to shape American politics today. It serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked power and the necessity of transparency and integrity in government. It serves as a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked power and the importance of a free and independent press in holding leaders accountable. The role of journalists in uncovering the truth during Watergate cannot be overstated. The scandal led to significant reforms aimed at preventing future abuses of power, but it also left an indelible mark on the American psyche, fostering a deep cynicism towards government and politicians. The aftermath of Watergate saw the implementation of new laws and regulations designed to increase transparency and reduce corruption, yet the shadow of distrust lingers to this day. Richard Nixon's presidency unfolded during a period of profound social and political change, a time when the very fabric of American society seemed to be unraveling. The Vietnam War cast a long shadow over the nation, fueling anti-war protests and deepening divisions within American society. The conflict not only took a heavy toll on soldiers and civilians, but also sparked a nationwide debate about the United States' role in the world. The civil rights movement continued to gain momentum, challenging racial segregation and discrimination. Leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. and countless activists fought tirelessly for equality, justice, and the dismantling of institutional racism. The Cold War, a global struggle between the United States and the Soviet Union, dominated the international landscape, creating a climate of fear and uncertainty. The threat of nuclear war loomed large, influencing both foreign and domestic policies. Nixon, a staunch anti-communist, had built his political career on a platform of law and order. He promised to restore stability and address the concerns of Americans who felt alienated by the rapid social changes. He appealed to what he perceived as a silent majority of Americans who were weary of social unrest and longed for stability. These were the people who felt their voices were being drowned out by the more vocal activists and protesters. Upon taking office in 1969, Nixon vowed to restore order at home and pursue a foreign policy based on peace with honor in Vietnam. His administration faced the daunting task of navigating a deeply divided nation. Domestically, Nixon's presidency was marked by a combination of progressive and conservative policies. He sought to balance the demands of a changing society with the need for traditional values. He created the Environmental Protection Agency, a significant step towards addressing the growing environmental concerns of the era, expanded the food stamp program, providing much-needed assistance to low-income families and helping to combat poverty, and implemented affirmative action programs aiming to promote diversity and equal opportunities in education and employment. However, he also escalated the war on drugs, a policy that would have a long-lasting and controversial impacts on American society. Nixon's administration oversaw a period of economic stagflation, characterized by high inflation and unemployment, which posed significant challenges for the American economy and appealed to racial anxieties through his Southern strategy. A political maneuver designed to gain support from white voters in the South by exploiting racial tensions. In foreign affairs, Nixon pursued a policy of détente with the Soviet Union, seeking to ease Cold War tensions through diplomacy and arms control agreements. This approach marked a significant shift in U.S. foreign policy. He also opened relations with China, a historic move that reshaped the geopolitical landscape and altered the balance of power in the Cold War. However, Nixon's legacy on the world stage would be forever intertwined with the Vietnam War, which continued to rage throughout his presidency. The war's unpopularity and the heavy casualties sustained by American forces remained a contentious issue.
In the early morning hours of June 17, 1972, a seemingly insignificant event occurred at the Watergate Hotel in Washington, D.C. 5 men were arrested for breaking into the Democratic National Committee headquarters, located within the Watergate complex. Initially dismissed as a third-rate burglary by the White House, the incident would soon unravel into a major political scandal that would topple a president.
The burglars, armed with cameras and electronic surveillance equipment, were apprehended while attempting to install listening devices in the Democratic Party's offices. Among the items found in their possession were address books containing the name of E. Howard Hunt, a former CIA officer then working as a consultant to the White House. The connection to the White House immediately raised suspicions, but the Nixon administration vehemently denied any involvement in the break-in. The media, initially slow to grasp the significance of the event, began to investigate the incident more closely. 2 young reporters from the Washington Post, Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein, played a pivotal role in uncovering the truth behind the Watergate break-in. As investigations into the Watergate break-in progressed, the nation watched with bated breath. It became increasingly clear that the incident was not an isolated event, but rather a symptom of a much deeper and more troubling issue. This was part of a larger pattern of illegal activities orchestrated by the Nixon administration, revealing a web of deceit and corruption. A cover-up orchestrated by high-ranking White House officials was put in place to conceal the truth from the public and obstruct justice. The cover-up involved a complex web of lies, hush money payments, and attempts to intimidate witnesses. These efforts were designed to ensure that the full extent of the administration's wrongdoing would never come to light. Witnesses were threatened, and those who dared to speak out faced severe repercussions. Nixon himself, while denying any personal involvement in the break-in, engaged in efforts to obstruct the investigation. He ordered the CIA to interfere with the FBI's inquiry, a move that further complicated the investigation. This interference was a blatant attempt to derail the investigation and protect his administration. Nixon fired key aides who refused to cooperate with the cover-up, showing his determination to maintain control. He also attempted to use his executive powers to block the release of incriminating evidence, further deepening the crisis.
One of the most dramatic events of the cover-up was the Saturday Night Massacre, a turning point in the scandal. This occurred on October 20th, 1973, and sent shockwaves through the nation. Nixon ordered Attorney General Elliot Richardson to fire Special Prosecutor Archibald Cox, who had subpoenaed tapes of Nixon's Oval Office conversations that were believed to contain evidence related to the Watergate break-in. These tapes were crucial as they were believed to hold the key to understanding the extent of Nixon's involvement. Richardson refused and resigned in protest, standing up for the principles of justice and integrity, as did Deputy Attorney General William Ruckelshaus, who also chose to resign rather than comply with Nixon's orders. Solicitor General Robert Bork, next in line for the Attorney General position, ultimately carried out Nixon's order, firing Cox. This series of events highlighted the lengths to which Nixon was willing to go to protect himself and his administration, marking a dark chapter in American political history.
You know, we were just doing our jobs. We never imagined it would lead to the resignation of a president.
Yeah, I mean, we followed the leads, dug into the details, and just kept pushing. The truth had to come out.
Follow the money. That was the key. It always is.
And it wasn't easy. There were threats, there was pressure, but we knew we had to keep going.
The public had the right to know. It was our duty to uncover the truth, no matter the cost.
The dedication and perseverance of journalists like Woodward and Bernstein were instrumental in bringing the Watergate scandal to light. Their relentless pursuit of the truth exemplifies the crucial role of the media in a democratic society.
I am not a crook. I've earned everything I've got.
But the tapes told a different story. Conversations recorded in the Oval Office revealed the extent of the cover-up and Nixon's involvement. The revelation shook the nation to its core. Trust in government was at an all-time low, and the public demanded accountability. The country stood on the brink of a constitutional crisis.
I shall resign the presidency effective at noon tomorrow. Vice President Ford will be sworn in as president at that hour in this office.
Nixon's resignation marked the first time a U.S. president stepped down from office. Shortly after, President Gerald Ford issued a full pardon for Nixon, hoping to heal the nation. The Watergate scandal led to significant changes in American politics. New laws were enacted to increase transparency and hold public officials accountable. The legacy of Watergate remains a powerful reminder of the importance of integrity in public service.